Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Kaiju number 8, season 1, episode 5. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, we're picking up in the aftermath of the last episode. I'd assume it's been a couple episodes considering, Kifka's not in the hospital anymore, but it's time for the results. And I love they keep you on pins and needles, because at first you're kind of thinking like, well, there's no way like Kafka doesn't pass, but there are extenuating circumstances too. I was curious to see like what the whole rigmarole was going to be, because I thought him not being there initially, I was like, oh, he overslept. I thought that was going to be the gag, but we find out, well, there's stipulations to his situation. But we find out in total it's 27 that passed, because like the last test, it was only like, it's only 30 people that like took the second test. So I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of a pretty high percentage of people that made it through. That means only like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 probably dropped out, because like I said, it also depends on Kikuru. I don't know if she counted in that 27 or not, so I don't know if that's 27 with her or is it 28 including, like 20, yeah, or is it really 28, you know? But yeah, she's kind of like valedictorian. She got the top score and stuff like that. And obviously, you know, I think it was like turquoise hair dude. Like she's the only one I'm blanking on his name. I'm making a point to try and remember everyone's names, but he's the only one I can't really quite remember. But he was the one coming like, oh, I guess that old dude's not here. And I was like, were you expecting him to? I was like, nah, but still. And even Iharu was like, oh man, that's such a bummer. Like I like that guy. He was funny. So it's like, oh, well, like what's happening here? And we also get a little clarity on the Kikuru situation when she is, you know, supposed to take the oath on behalf of the class. She's the one that gets to say it. And it's like, oh, because of what you did, a lot of people survived. And she kind of felt bad. So I talked about that last episode. Like I kind of took it as, initially I had a pessimistic take of, oh, she did it just for the glory. But in retrospect, but then I did say like, well, there's actually a strong possibility she said it just to protect Kafka, because it's like you don't want to put him on blast, and they would have asked a whole bunch of questions if you said I didn't do it. You couldn't really cover up the whole like, oh, I was passed out, I didn't know anything. That'd just be more suspicious. Granted, you're already suspicious by being like, I'm the one that did it, even though once again Hoshina knows you didn't do it. Regardless, she's kind of like, no, the person who should be hearing all this is Kafka, and you're not here. She's like, I can't believe, like, she's like, I'm not going to just let you kind of be able to walk off into the sunset and just, you know, it kind of sucks that you're not here, but she's going to try and figure something out. But lo and behold, he shows up, because he isn't an official officer yet, because he failed the test, the physical test, the first stage of the second test. And then, like, he didn't score that many points. And so they're kind of like, yeah, the deciding, like, council is kind of like, yeah, he should fail. I'm so curious what Mino would have said if Hoshino hadn't said what he said. He basically was like, I'll take him under my wing. It's like, yeah, he might not be the greatest, but the fact of the matter is, his support is actually what ended up helping a lot. In fact, he was more focused on supporting people than helping with his own kill count. And he's like, most people don't even bother with that. Like, that's a rare thing amongst, like, officers. So I'll train him up to eventually work his way up to being an officer. He'll just act as a cadet right now. Also, Hoshino's like, but also, he's so funny, and I think we could use with a more hilarity around. But it's like, yeah, but I love that it's like Mina's making her speech to everyone. It's like, right, fight alongside me. And then he meant to say it in his head, but he ends up saying it now. He's like, I'll fight by your side, Mina. And everyone's like, did he just call her by her first name? What is he doing? Disrespectful bastard. And she was about to call him by his name. She's about to say call him, but she stopped herself. It's like, all right, that's insubordination, you know, dressing a superior, you know, not in a professional manner. Give me 100 push-ups. But then we find out Hoshina has like ulterior motives, because he's like, there's something odd about this guy. I mean, first and foremost, I do find you interesting in many different ways. One of which, we still don't know about that Kaiju with the 9.8 fortitude. But then it's like, well, that was most likely was a scanner issue, but he's like, that thing is, the moment that Kaiju up and appeared, there was one vital signal that disappeared around that same time, being Kafka's, but also it's like the fact is you have a 0% when it comes to your suit. He's like that. All that makes me fascinated by who you are and what your circumstances are. Like there's something to you, and I'm gonna uncover that something by keeping you super close to me. And then obviously they're having to run through like shooting drills, and we're seeing everyone's getting better and better. Like Ishikawa's getting better, and then Iharu is competing with him. But then like Turquoise dude is not too. He tries to be even killed, like, oh man, I'm not taking this too seriously. Like, oh man, look at these guys, it's getting heated. He's like, oh man, there's people out here getting better than I am. But then like Aoi's like, yo, you're worried about them? I'm at the same power level. He's like, Jesus, now I got to worry about not only people above me, but the people below me. Like trying to go for the jugular, because they had a conversation where Aoi was like, no, you could try and fight for spot number 2. I'm going to aim for spot number 1. He's like, sure thing, buddy. Obviously, the percentages, everyone's unleashed potential or power from the suits is rising, including Kikuru's. Hers went from 46% during the test to now 55%, and she got obviously the best time when it came to shooting. Obviously, it took Kefka a long time. Hey, I feel a little seen because we had to do a mile run in PE in my freshman year of high school, and I took a very, very long time. I think it took me like 6 minutes because I kind of, I'm fat, and fat then, even fatter now. It's just, so him getting that 6 kind of meant, it was like, oh, I felt seen in that moment. Granted, he's doing a lot more of an athletic thing than I was, than running around the track, but tangents and all that aside, I just think that's interesting. I also love that before that, like at the ceremony, she calls Kefka out. It's like, yo, I want to talk to you. And some of the people are like, oh my God, are you confessing to him? He's like, oh my God, is this kind of like I'm going to meet you behind the schools, like a bully thing? And she's like, just come on, you idiot. And he explains what happened to himself about the whole kaiju thing. But then he's like, hey, maybe they can cure me if I let the if I let the defense force know. But she's like, no, if you do that, you're basically going to go, even if they don't kill you, they will subject you to experiments to understand what's going on with you, how you work. In fact, she says only like the numbered kaiju are strong kaiju, and once they've been defeated, they're used to make weapons, so they'll most likely like take parts of you to make weapons. So it's kind of like big no-no. You want to keep that as much of a secret. I mean, I'm curious, what would Hoshina do or Mina do? Mina in particular, would she turn him over because it's for the greater good? Or, she has her issues with kaijus. Will she be able to put that aside, even though her friend is still her friend? But who knows? But Kikuru is like, all right, I'll keep your secret. But she's like, do you know that if you ever reveal yourself to be a harmful kaiju, I will kill you? And he's like, yeah, I'm totally okay with that. So also, gotta give props to him. He went from 0.01% to now a full percent. Hey, he's making some progress. But he's got to train harder than everybody else because he's got at a massive disadvantage, at least in that capacity. I do love all the very like camaraderie moments in this. It kind of gives me mixed, and obviously with like the darker undertone of like, well, people can die at any moment. This is kind of life or death. It makes me think of the oh God, what are their names from Chainsaw Man, the organization? I'm already blanking on their names. But yeah, like people can die all the time, like devil hunting. Same thing's applicable in this case, hunting kaijus. But yeah, like the camaraderie that ends up happening and everyone getting competitive and buddy, especially in like the Babs situation where they're showing off their muscles and Kefka's like, look at this hard-working body. But then like his gut flops out because he's not in the best of best shape. And then everyone gets immediately, it was him, Ichikawa, and Iharu all got immediately embarrassed the moment Aoi stepped in because that man is ripped. And he's like, well, what are you guys doing? They were like, oh, we were just commenting on how scrawny we are. But yeah, it gets to finding out about how everyone ended up, like why they're all here. A main motivator for everyone is Mina, because obviously she's a superstar in this generation of the Defense Force and Kaiju fighters. And like, for example, Iharu got saved by her when he was in middle school or something like that. And then the turquoise haired guy was like, it's partially for his family, but then it is also kind of a similar thing, and everyone's kind of in the same ballpark. And he's like, oh, what about you, old man? He's like, well, they're like, wait, you're childhood friends. And they were like, wait, you made a promise, like a childhood promise to be side by side. And he's like, I'm gonna get out of here. And they're like, you're not going anywhere. Tell us from the beginning. And so they learned all this stuff to learn about Mina, and they all ended up passing out in the water. The only one that turned out okay is Ichikawa, because they were so busy learning a much about Mina keeping him there that they all kind of got heat stroke from it. Which I did think it was interesting that Mina had this moment where she ran into not Mina, Kikuru ran into Mina, and it's like noticing her body. It's like, yeah, she's got good definition and muscles, but it still doesn't make sense about her strength. Where does that come from? So she was, got some private lessons from Mina, which we didn't get to see. But I'm curious what the end result of that's going to be. But yeah, we have like I said, to continue with camaraderie and just kind of the fun times of them training together. I love Mina's tiger almost attacking Kefka, but I think it's also because it can't quite. It's like I sniff a kaiju, but I'm not sure, because I don't know if it was like the girls that caught its attention or whether it's just going, I was kind of going in attack mode for you, but I don't know why. Something about you's funny. But yeah, like the girls come over and kind of rub them down, and yeah, just working hard, and everyone's got each other back, especially Ichikawa having Kefka's back. We even see him on his own studying super late, and Hoshino is kind of like, oh, like, you need to get your rest. But he also is like, yeah, this place is kind of filled with cameras. Everything's being recorded. So I heard everything about why you're doing what you're doing to get close to Mina. He's like, so you want to be right by her side, but you're going to take my position as vice captain. And he was like, no. He's like, bro, actually, no, I will do that if it means to be by her side. And like, Hoshino kind of got annoyed by that response. He's like, well, I'm not losing my position without a fight. You're going to have to keep like triple your efforts if you're ever going to like come close to me. But then he also kind of gives him like that dose of reality of, you want to be careful about, you don't want to get too close with anyone in this unit and like amongst your coworkers. And at first I thought he was saying like because they could betray you. It's like, no, it's very much like the Chainsaw Man of it all, where it's like these people can die at any moment. So it's probably like a hard lesson he himself had to learn, where it's like, this is just the reality of this. Not everyone's going to survive this situation. I mean, hell, even Mina said during like that welcoming speech, like, some of you might even die on your first mission, and that's just how it is. I mean, some of these kaijus are getting higher and higher on their fortitude levels. So, and at unprecedented levels of like, some kaijus were just manageable beforehand, but now they've been getting stronger more and more lately. And especially with the most recent incident of them coming back from the dead and getting stronger too. So, but I'm sure like all of what Hoshino was saying, like I said, he had personal experience with it because he's probably lost a lot of people to this fight against kaiju. So, but the alarms go off and it's time for the first mission. I'm sure a lot of the, special haired colored individuals who are clearly main characters are survived. That doesn't mean anything for a lot of the background characters who might end up biting the dust. This class of 27 might get whittled down over the next couple episodes. Hopefully not, but there's probably a good chance of it, because there's characters we got to know and characters we didn't. Like if you got specific hair, you probably still could die, but you'll probably die more plot wise, whereas some of those people might just kind of get indiscriminately killed on screen, but like in the background, versus like it being a real focus on, oh, we knew you and you got killed. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what this first mission for these new recruits are, well, especially Kefka the cadet. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.